Hi, everyone. My name is Dana Gelsomino, and this is episode 14 of the Ask a Question Show, the show where you ask a question about any type of narcissistic or otherwise abusive or toxic relationship or situation. And I, along with the rest of the audience here, will do our very best to help answer it for you. And so, our goal is to give you the feedback and the support that you need so that you can move forward in getting the clarity, the closure, and the healing that you so deserve. And so, tonight's question comes from Ava. Ava says, Dear Dana, my ex really hurt me, and I'm scared that there are no good guys out there. How do I get back into dating and go about trusting men again? Okay, fantastic question, Ava. Thank you so much. I think this is something that we all struggle with. I know for sure I did too. After my relationship with Jack, my trust was so fundamentally broken because I just so did not see that coming at all. I was so blindsided by discovering his double life. I had a really hard time trusting anybody. Like, forget dating. I mean, just like my friends, my family, myself, like I didn't trust my judgment. I didn't trust anybody because I didn't know, do other people have a double life? Like, what's real, what's really going on? It just threw me for such a loop. So I get that. But there's a lesson that I learned in all of this, and it took me a long time to learn it. And so I'm hoping that it won't take you as long as it took me. And that lesson is that the problem, there's a couple, okay, the problem is not what you think the problem is. The problem isn't men. The problem is dangerous and destructive and manipulative people in general. That's part one of the problem. Okay, it's a two-part problem you got here. This is part one is manipulative, dangerous, and destructive people. These people come in different roles throughout our life. They can be, male or female. They can be, your boyfriend or a girlfriend or a friend or a parent or a child or a coworker or somebody at your church or your next door neighbor or somebody you volunteer with or, kind of you name it. So they are out there. They're out there in full force. There's lots of them out there. So you will come across them again. And the reason I'm saying this isn't to scare you, but it's to reinforce to you that it's not the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend, that's the problem. It's these people, and it's specifically it's their behaviors that are the problem. And that's kind of too why I'm, you guys have noticed I'm making a shift, and I'm adding in that terminology of manipulative, dangerous, destructive people, because kind of the words narcissist or antisocial or psychopath or sociopath are really kind of broken, and people get really hung up on, well, this person's really manipulative, dangerous, and destructive, but is he a narcissist? And my response is, does it effing matter? Like, does it matter what we call him? Can we call, we can call him a Martian for all it matters. The word itself doesn't matter. It's the behaviors that matter. The behaviors are what's significant here. And so it's really important that you spot the behaviors, kind of for when you see them, because you're probably going to see them again, the behaviors. So knowing that, and you said, okay, that he really hurt you. Here's part two of the problem. And you're probably not going to like me very much for saying this, but it needs to be said because I'm trying to save you time. It's cost me many years of not realizing this. And the second part of your problem is that, yes, he did hurt you. Yes, you are a victim of him. Yes, that is not your fault by any stretch, but, it is your problem. And so there is your part in this. And the part that you need to work on is he hurt you, but you hurt you too. And how you hurt you was, there's a problem with your standards and your boundaries. End of the story. There's a problem there. And so that's what you need to do, is you need to examine them and see, okay, how did somebody like this slip in under my radar? How did it get to this point? And so, you have to kind of reflect and think, with a lot of really nice, decent people, we tend to make a lot of allowances and give a lot of excuses for a lot of bad behavior, whereas normal, healthy people cut these manipulative, dangerous, and destructive people off right away. And they don't look back. It's sort of like, wow, that guy was rude, or that guy was nuts, or he's out of his mind if he thinks I'm going to get involved with a married man. Or do you see what I'm saying? So normal, healthy people have these kind of standards for what they allow and what they're looking for in their life. And then they have these rock solid boundaries that they back them up with. So a lot of us, a lot of codependent people, a lot of kind of empathic people or givers, we tend to think that other people are a lot like us. And our behavior tends to be pretty good behavior for the most part. And we tend to think that when people say they're really sorry, or when they are talking to us, that they're telling the truth, because we tend to be kind of honest, decent, on the level kind of people. So in the reality is, there's a lot of really like truly bad people running around on the planet, and we can't take them at face value. And so you have to go slowly, and you have to see, troublesome behavior for what it is early on, and then you have to act accordingly. And until you get that piece down, then you really can't trust other people. So, because you can't trust your judgment, like that's kind of the whole thing with trust is, how do you trust other people? Is you trust them. Real trust takes time, and it takes seeing a pattern of trustworthy behavior. Right? So trust isn't like blindly given like we like to do, because I'm guilty there too. It's given, it's earned. Trust is not given, it's earned, and it's done through seeing a pattern of really trustworthy behavior. If you're seeing behavior that's causing you to question, well, is he cheating, or is he lying, or is this the truth, or do I have issues, or does he have issues? When you're starting to question everything, then you're dealing with a manipulative person. You're dealing with behavior that's questionable. It's not trustworthy behavior. If he's hiding his phone, if he's not acknowledging your relationship on Facebook, if he's kind of giving you half truths, if he's giving you kind of squirrely stories, and you're trying to make sense of it all, you're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. And that's your sign. So a lot of us tend to hang on to these relationships, and it's like, well, yeah, but I really like him, so I'm just going to gloss over all these red flags, and I'm going to hope for the best. And that can't be the approach that you take. You have to go about it with, okay, these are my boundaries. These are my standards. This is how I trust myself. This is how I trust other people, because I trust my judgment. And this is why I trust my judgment, because I can tell the difference between untrustworthy behavior and trustworthy behavior. And if a person starts showing untrustworthy behavior, I don't care if I'm in love with them. That does not matter. I'm going to act appropriately, which means bye-bye, they're gone. That's how you start moving forward. That's how you learn to trust. So I hope that helps. I'll be curious to see kind of what everybody else has to say with that. And, like always, if you guys have a question for the Ask a Question show, please email me. Contact info is down below. And, if there's any other, questions, comments, concerns, frustrations, ideas, insights, you just want to say hi, you need some support, please let me know. I'll see what I can do. And you guys take care. Lots of love to you. You are not alone. You are not crazy. Please go with that gut instinct, and you really can heal and move forward from this. But there's no shortcut. You've got to develop those standards and those boundaries. Okay, and start dealing with what is, not what you hope will be when it comes to other people. That's the best. That's what I can tell you. So, okay, that's it for tonight. You guys take care, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.